Hey, welcome back to the SBP podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. I'm your host, Susie Botello, and you're listening to episode 214. So you're listening to part 2 now. This is the last part of last week's interview with Justin Ho. There's a lot in this second part. And so I really think it was a good idea to kind of help you process part 1 into part 2. We really go into the weeds in this part of the interview. It's very much in depth. So just enjoy the show. And thank you, Justin, for being a part of it. The actors that you had. And I'm kind of mesmerized that you said they were experimenting. You were experimenting, but the performance was top notch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they were great. We did a whole casting thing. My producers, James and Ted, set it up. Ted really, knows a lot of actors, so he has like a whole list. And we used that. We used backstage is a commonplace, and it was the whole, what it's like during the audition process. It's long days and sitting there and watching footage over and over again and trying to figure out. We had a lot of actors who were going to play different characters, and we ended up kind of swapping them around. We had a whole, the whole whiteboard with their images and swapping them around to see who they could play and this and that.
Yeah. Did you, so you had a casting call but they sent in their reels, right?
Some of them did. We did have an actual day where they showed up to the office, my producer's office. And so we actually did do live auditions, which is so much better because you could actually adjust stuff and talk to them,
Yeah, I favor that myself.
Because I found the people that sent in videos, they were really good. And then we live Zoom chatted with them. And suddenly they're not as good. And I realized because the videos, they had time to prepare. It's different than when you're there on the spot. And so, yeah, it's nice.
And I think also a lot, I don't know if in New York you have a lot of dual actors that also perform on stage in theater.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would think so. Kind of like in LA. Right?
Yes.
Big
100%.
cities like that usually have that. And coming from, I used to take drama classes in school and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember asking my teacher, so does everybody who take drama ever just go and do theater? Because that's actually kind of preferable to me.
Right.
And he said, no, most people want to be on television and movies. That's just the reality, right? And I was like, man. Right. And it felt so awkward for me because it was like, I don't want to be recorded. Mm-hmm. It's different because you're coming from the acting part I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But the part of, now it's going to be recorded, what I didn't know at the time is how out of sequence how hard it is.
Yeah. When you're not shooting in continuity.
Yeah, you're not telling it, but you can with a phone if you do it right. Because of the takedown process and things like that, you almost could do that.
Right. I mean, there's so much less equipment to lug around, so it's a lot easier. We tried to schedule it somewhat in continuity, but obviously with the way the film is, that wasn't really possible.
Yeah, and you have so many locations too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, one last thing. And now listen, guys, we're going to put the trailer, a feature film that has a trailer. Imagine that.
Right, yeah.
So we're going to share the trailer in the notes, along with how people can follow you and everything like that. And How about you give a shout out to the people that, it's like 50 people. No, I'm just kidding. Give a shout out to everybody that worked on your film and everybody who supported you.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we've got an hour.
Yeah. I just make sure I remember. I'm terrible with names. Well, I already mentioned my two producers, James and Teddy Orfanos. They were so awesome and instrumental with helping out with so much with scheduling and the casting and getting the crew. So they were great. I already mentioned Madison, who did, everything. And we had our sound person, Chris, who was fantastic, came in, when our first sound guy ghosted us. And,
that is awful.
Yeah. Well, things happen.
Yep.
So it wasn't even that surprising. I had a feeling it was going to happen for some reason. But Allison, who did the costumes, wardrobes, fantastic. And the awesome ass cast, Sam Pierce, who played James, I'm trying to remember names. Yeah, James, the guitar guy, and Sylvie Pratt, Sylvie Pratt played Anna. She won Best Actress in a festival this past weekend. I couldn't go to it, unfortunately, but she won. She's a winner, Best Actress.
Very good. I'm telling you, all of them were, though.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah, Sylvie was great. Deanna, who played Lucy, was fantastic. And H. Lynn, who played Haley.
Lucy was a badass in disguise.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you didn't see it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's her character arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I said H. Lynn. H. Lynn was great. Fantastic. I mean, they're all great. Yeah. And then I mentioned John Amedro. He was the older guy who kind of was the needle that weaved through all the other stories.
Ooh,
and he was the first person that I thought of in my mind, because I knew him. I've worked with him in the past. So when I was writing a script, I already had him in mind to play that character anyway. So he's the first person I casted.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and John is actually nominated for Best Actor at the what's the film fest? At a film festival coming up in April.
Very cool. I'm looking at actually, Joe Messina.
Joe Messina was great. He was awesome. Yeah, he was the asshole guy. Are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, there's an E in there. I try to avoid it myself, but I let you guys all just say whatever.
I've been editing podcasts and I've been having to deal with censoring things. So
no.
I get it. And I apologize. All the ums and uhs you'll probably have to cut out. So
I don't really cut. I mean, I just warn people, like, don't overdo it. But people here, they're used to it because it just happens. It's okay. I mean, gosh, people are cursing in the news now. So
I stay off the news, but
I'm just saying that's FCC right there, not podcast.
Right, that's true. But yeah, Joe Messina was fantastic, and Alicia Giacchetti as well. Both really good. So did I mention everyone? I want to make sure I mentioned everyone.
Ian Allen Jones.
Fantastic. I've worked with them before.
And Jillian.
Yeah, Jillian. She had a minor part, but fantastic. She was a lot of fun to work with. Catherine was a lot of fun and fantastic as well.
I also noticed red hair was like a bit of a theme there.
Oh, is it? I mean, I like redheads, so
no, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it wasn't purposefully done. It just worked out. It just happened to be the case, but
yeah, no, it's funny.
But I do like red hair. I like all hair colors.
Yeah, no, I just noticed like there were two of your main protagonists, I think, had red hair, or maybe it was three of them. I don't know.
Was it that many?
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, I'm just saying it was.
It's symbolic, cool. Obviously.
It is symbolic. I mean, you were talking about the heart, right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
passion.
The passion. The passion of the beast.
Yes, broken pieces passion.
Oh man, you're going to be so much fun at the fest.
I'm excited.
I hope you like tacos. We're all about tacos.
Who doesn't like tacos? I love
like,
tacos.
okay, see, hey, guys, you know me and my
No,
tacos. So
it's fine. Tacos aren't for everyone, but I love tacos. That was my favorite, dinner growing up. When everyone asked me, what's your favorite food? Tacos.
there you go. Hey, you
Yeah.
used some, you said during the chasing scene, you didn't use your lens.
No,
What
no.
lenses were you using?
Those are the ones on the phone. Because throughout the rest of the film, it was the anamorphic lens, that you put in front of the phone lenses. So I still had a Pro Mist filter because I used a Pro Mist filter throughout everything to soften everything because, the iPhone 14 Pro didn't have log to shoot in. So I was using Filmic Pro at the time. Unfortunately, I don't think Filmic Pro is a thing anymore. But
I don't know if it's a thing, but I know a lot of people don't even want to hear that name anymore.
yeah, because it was so frustrating. Right when I started production, they switched over to the subscription based. But I had already, taught myself how to use all of it, so I just had to bite my tongue and get through it. So, yeah, I appreciated the Filmic Pro. They just messed up majorly with that.
They kind of did, but here's the thing. Here's how I see it, because I'm a pioneer too.
Mm-hmm.
Had it not been for them, they were the first app.
Yeah.
So had it not been for that, they really, really, really incentivized professionals.
Yeah. They were the ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And to get them in the door, Tangerine.
Yep. Tangerine.
Steven Soderbergh.
Yep. Soderbergh. Yeah.
I don't think, okay, you've heard about 28 years later. And
oh, yeah. I'm excited for that.
Right? So are you waiting for someone to give you $75 million? I think they need to watch your film. And
I don't even need, give me $1 million. That'd be fine.
Who needs $75 million to shoot with iPhones?
Give me $2 million. All right. I could do it too. I have a script I've been trying to make before this film.
It's
give me $2 million.
Just give me $2 million. I'm fine. That's actually, that's still, so back in the day, I think the budgets have gone up and down, you know what I'm saying, with all these things. Yeah. Because when I was working in Big Bear, that film, that was a $1 million budget. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really?
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, people got paid and, the film was made, but I don't know what happened to the film.
Right.
And I could tell you the story behind the guy that, the director, he literally worked and saved that money for that dream movie.
Yeah.
And and I kind of feel bad that, but I don't know if he ever it doesn't look like he made another film after that.
Yeah, it's hard.
And now in combination to that, all the thousands of people like you guys listening, that you've picked up a phone and you've made a marvelous film and you've completed it and it's still out there. And some of you have your films on Prime and, Amazon and Tubi and all these things.
Yeah, it's crazy how easy it's become. It's a double-edged sword in the end. It's fantastic. We could all do these films so easily, yet at the same time, everyone can do it. So, it's very oversaturated. And in the end, what it has come down to, which I think is the core of what's important, is not whether, your film looks nice or you have a unique, that is the core of it. It's having a unique style. It's having a voice. That is what's important now. And
that's why we can't get saturated no matter how many films we make, Justin, because there can never be enough, because the stories, everyone has their own perspective. And when people are telling their own stories instead of someone else telling their stories, it doesn't have the effect that it does when you're telling your own story. Because like when you told this story, this film, we just talked about what it meant for you. And you know what I'm saying? How it's connected to you personally.
Whether that's a good thing or not, because it gets difficult. Thing. When I'm writing stuff and making my films, it's literally like I'm amputating parts of myself out and just throwing it out there. It's like I want someone to want me. Here's my leg. Is it good? And then you get the rejections from film festivals and stuff like that. It's like, darn it, no. That's what it's for me. That's what it's like. It's I'm trying to build fires big enough for people to notice. But
how long did it take you from the time that you started production with your film until you finalized it in post?
Right. This film went really fast. Again, like I said, I was vomiting out the things onto the script. So writing took probably a month. It was the fastest thing I've ever written. And pre-production, probably, how long was our pre-production? I'm now have to try to think, like no, less than 3 months. I don't know. I do know production was around 18 days.
Okay.
And then when I finished the final cut, it was, I think overall maybe 8 months. Everything from the conception to finishing, I think was 8 months ish, around there. Yeah, because I remember.
Typically a feature film takes 1 to 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, when you're doing everything by yourself and you don't have a job. Well, I had a job.
Typically, feature films aren't made by just one person.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what your budget was. I don't know if you want to share it. A lot of people share their budgets with mobile films, but
yeah, the thing is, I would share it if I knew. My producers have that info. I don't know. I was working 2 days a week at the time, and that was paying for everything. So I wasn't paying attention to any of that. It could have been, I don't know, 10,000 maybe.
But most people, that would be. I think the highest I've ever heard of anyone paying for a feature mobile film is $12,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that even kind of was like, wow, that much, okay, But the thing is that most feature films take 1 to 3 years. They have multiple people working on it, which also does take more time, and because the more hands you have in your film and the more things you got to coordinate and all these things. But then on top of it, securing all the locations, all the actors, all that stuff. But in a feature film shot with a phone, normally shouldn't take that long for all the reasons that are pretty obvious, what I'm saying. And I guess the other plus thing is you in New York, in the city, right? It's not as crazy as trying to shoot something in LA.
Mm-hmm.
As far as needing the permits and all those things.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. So there was a filmmaker who shot a feature film. He's a screenwriter. A lot of his films are on Netflix and stuff. He made a feature film for a film festival in 2019, and he shot it with an Android, by the way. But the cool thing is that he lives around LA, and he also, part of the time, I think something to do with his wife, but he also lives in New York too. And he shot that film in New York City. And he told me, he says, in LA, you can barely even shoot in your backyard. In New York City, you can shoot everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
that's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't need a permit when you're shooting with a phone.
Well,
unless you're obstructing. Obstructing.
Right. Well, the thing is, we were so small, and we were trying to do the right thing. We were trying to get a permit for Central Park, because Central Park they're really strict on that. Every shoot I've been on in Central Park, they always catch us. So we were trying to do the right thing. They didn't get back to us in time, so we just went in there permitless.
Yeah,
and it was fine. We just hit it. We couldn't use a boom because that drew too much attention, and everyone just thought we're doing some social media video anyways. So it was great. Finally shooting in Central Park.
Yeah, and the other thing is never use a tripod out in public, because that's how they get you.
Yes, that's it. Yep. I've heard that in the subway, if you have a tripod.
Oh gosh. As soon as you pull out a tripod, it could be a birthday party. It's like, that's it. Yeah, you have a permit for that.
You have a thing on the ground.
That's it, But, what have we left? Well, now in post-production, what did you use? Did you use Final Cut, Premiere, DaVinci?
I use Premiere.
Premiere?
Yes, Premiere. It's funny. I shot on an iPhone, but I edited on a Windows PC and used Adobe Premiere.
Oh, on a Windows PC too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to use my MacBook, but it's too old and slow now. So I use my gaming laptop. So it's just faster.
Somebody out there get Justin a new laptop.
Give me a new MacBook Pro. I love my gaming laptop, but I mean, it works. So
yeah.
And if you're editing 4K footage, anamorphic, so 4K, I stretched it out. I turned it into 5K when it was all stretched out. So like, I can't imagine trying to do that on my old 2016 MacBook Pro. It'll explode probably. So, So yeah, Adobe Premiere.
Did you do color grading and all that there too?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to get, a professional to color grade it, but with budget, I gave myself two choices: spend post-production money on color grading or a score and sound design. And score and sound design 100% won out. So I ended up having to color grade it myself.
I think it still worked because, even though it was shot with the phone, you have someone that's documenting one of your protagonists, her story. I just don't want to say too much.
Yes, that's right. The thing,
and you're
thing.
showing his point of view, but it's still with an iPhone, but it's just pretending. So you see, I kind of think it worked, right? Because all of a sudden, the colors, right, the grading from the previous scene changes because it's the perspective of a different camera, basically. But it's the different camera is supposed to be the view from this other story that he's filming, basically. Yeah. And so things like that kind of work. And then there's the guy playing the guitar with his phone. Yeah. So doing those things kind of worked. Where I've seen it done in other films, and I can't follow because the color grading is mismatched in each scene.
Yeah. Well, actually, each of the characters I had specifically color coded in the script.
Yes.
So
I noticed that.
With coloring, obviously with their wardrobe, there was that, but also with the grading, and very subtly, each character is graded slightly differently. Obviously, not to the point where it's jarring, but they are graded.
And that's where you did that very well. And then again, it just distinguishes from the different perspectives as well.
Right. Yeah.
But the color, sound design, all those things play into.
Yeah.
They're almost like little characters that you don't see in the movies.
Oh, 100%. And the score, I got to shout out to Lee and Andrija, who scored the film.
That was beautiful.
They were fantastic. I will never forget. I was in Ireland at a friend's place, and I was sick with COVID, and I got the first pass of. That's whatever. It happens, but I got the first pass of the score from them, and I remember just sitting there listening to it, and just getting really excited, like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome!" Yeah. So that's my favorite part of filmmaking for me. It's getting the score done because I can't do it. So it's nice. I love film scores in general. So, it's,
and a lot of people don't realize, they think, oh, romance, always should be violence and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, guys, no. But I like when you have a voice singing, performing. For a scene like that, for a movie like that, it really does. I liked it, and I would have chosen something similar if I was doing that kind of a film too. And I noticed a lot of films, the romantic, relationship movies and things like that, tend to use singing as opposed to just music. And I'm not sure, but I think it has to do probably because in your, like, in the end, right? The words in the song match what happened.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
You're talking about the end credits song?
Yes.
Yeah. It took a bit to find that song. We had another song there originally. We originally had another song. It was actually a French song in French, and we had issues getting the rights to it. So we had to last minute find a new one, and I'm so glad I found that one because it worked.
I love that song. Anyways, I mean, I've heard it before, but I found the lyrics is very fitting
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the fun part of selecting those things too.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
it takes a while to find something,
yeah.
as you
No,
know. Um,
in video editing, sometimes I used to go through those, those ones where you have the subscription and
yep.
you
That's
select a
that's what I do.
gazillion songs, and then I would spend 3 days looking through songs, and I was like,
Yep.
oh my god, what did I
Oh
just go through?
gosh.
It was so much fun
Yeah.
though. So, what would you say to a filmmaker? Now, you've made short films
hmm
before you came to want to make a feature film. But what would you say to someone out there who's made, how many short films did you make before you decided, okay, I'm going to make a feature?
Oh gosh. I can't, I wouldn't be able to count it from childhood all the way up to, I think my first feature was in high school. So I must have done 20, 50 shorts, maybe more.
Nice.
But I mean, they're all like the terrible, home video
Yeah.
stuff. But
there
if you
comes a point
consider
where you
those,
see your shorts, right, becoming good enough, at least, right, for you to feel confident and say, I'm going to shoot a feature.
right? I don't know. Or I don't know. I was in high school. I just kept on shooting, and then I realized this is a feature, I guess.
So I guess then you would tell anyone who's listening, who's apprehensive about it, to just do it, right? Just go for it.
I mean, that's usual. That's usually what one would say, and
I'm trying to get more out of you than that, because
I
that's
know
what
I'm
everybody
trying. I'm
says.
trying to think of something a little more unique, but I can't because, I mean, the truth is, because that's the truth. Because I think what's most important is if you have something deeply passionate that you want to say, that you want to get out of you, that's eating you up. Because I feel like that's what makes the best films. Because I've been to tons of festivals, and I've seen a lot of filmmakers come up and say, we just want to do a horror film because we want to do a horror film. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel you could tell when something's done just for the sake of doing something rather than having some sort of passionate feeling towards it. And what's the most important to you? Because anyone now could go out and film something. It's just what do you want to get out of? What part of you do you want to amputate and throw out to the crowd to eat?
Wow, I love this.
Pretty much.
We're just talking about horror and
Yeah. Or it'll grow back. but because nowadays, with where everything's going, that's kind of going to be what's going to separate a lot of people. And it's hard to really find your own voice. I'm not even sure if I have my own voice. A lot of my friends have told me that my films have a specific feeling. I don't know because I'm doing it. So,
well, does it help you to know that 2 of the 3 times that I've watched your film, I cried at the end?
oh, wow.
At that very last scene, because everything comes back around. You did that on purpose
Oh, wow.
to
Yeah.
the beginning.
Oh, thank you.
I know, right?
It sounds
thank
really
you,
weird to say,
Justin,
but
you made me cry.
but thank you.
Yeah, but
Thank you for crying for me.
well, and I didn't
Yeah.
expect after the first time that it would hit me. But here's the thing, guys. So when you watch Justin's film, which at some point will be on Netflix, when you watch Justin's film, there's so much coming at you and so much that you're feeling and you're connecting with and relating to the characters themselves. You're connecting with the characters and their stories, and all these things are happening. And when everything comes around at the end, I don't want to give away the message, but what I'm saying is that it hits you, and then when you watch it again, it hits you again, because all those things hit you just a slightly bit different, but they always have the same effect. And that's why your film is one of those films that people will say, you know what, I'm going to watch that again, Justin. And you've hit something. And I don't know if you know that yet, but you've hit something really good there. And if I could twist your arm in 100 different ways, I would say, twist, 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 keep making mobile films. There's no
Oh,
reason
thanks.
that you need to make films with a $20,000 camera.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no
Oh,
reason for that. You've got it down.
once, I mean, it was it was so freeing to shoot on an iPhone because I just really don't feel like lugging around having gear anymore. I don't feel like having to change a bunch of lenses. I
Yeah.
don't feel like having to have a crew around that. So
There you go. I love it.
I 100% would shoot on a phone again, and now the iPhone 16, you know, it's so much better. Goodness, all the problems I had with the iPhone 14 was completely fixed when the 15 came out. It was hilarious.
I've actually heard that the 15 Pro Max is like so good that you don't even need the 16. Like there's people who are saying,
Wow.
I don't
Well,
even
I
need the
mean,
16.
yeah,
And I
even
was
the
like,
yeah.
really?
Well, even the Android phones are getting really good.
Oh,
I
definitely.
think what they need to work on, besides resolution, is latitude. They need to work on that. If I could get like 14 stops of latitude from an iPhone, that'll be mind blowing.
That's
I don't
true.
care about 4K. I would go with 1080p if I had 14 stops of latitude on an iPhone. They need
That's
to focus
awesome.
on that.
Yeah.
Because then log would be useful because you'll have more to play with in post production coloring. But everyone, you know, resolution is more of a marketing thing. No one understands what latitude is.
And the thing about resolution too is like it could be really. Oh, I do want to. Speaking of resolution, because the resolution on that was really cool. Your end credits. Now I'm
Oh.
picturing you going, okay, so he sat there to frame that in the way so he could roll the credits in between, right?
Yeah. I walked around the city.
That is so beautifully done.
And there's no try. I was holding the phone.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. And I was going to ask, like, how did you get that? You know, there was also, I hate to jump around like this, guys, but it's just like all these things are coming up. There was this shot in the subway where you get the trains, the roof of the trains, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird how you did that, but I'm like, wow, like, did you climb up or are you hanging over a staircase? How did you get those
So
shots?
I climbed up on the scaffolding that you weren't. I'm just kidding. No, there was actually a. And that subway station that was Union Square, I believe. There's a platform where you could look down. So there's like 2 levels to the subway station. So you could look down. So it was like a convenient area to
sneak
the phone through. Yeah, because you could fit the phone through it. So fit the phone through
the thing. Like I know, like I tell people with barbed wire fences, I'm like, well, you have a choice here. You can stick the lens through the little barbed wire space,
right?
And there's no fence now, or you could just like leave that one out of focus and focus in between. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I do love being behind the camera a lot, even if I'm not recording. Believe it or not, because I started out with film cameras, you know, when I was a little kid. So I was told stop taking photos. So I would walk around.
Yeah, you got to
with
save.
a viewfinder, pretending I was shooting a movie.
Yeah,
it was all for me, and that's how your art should be for you when you're making these films. Make the film, connect them to yourself, like Justin. You know, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody is unique and has something to say, and that's why I love trying to make films, is because it's kind of a way to live out other lives or create other lives and all these multiverses of possibilities that don't exist in the real world. So lessons that I could teach myself are things I want to experience that I haven't been able to. And I think it's important, you know. I think art, obviously, in general, is really important because I believe it does help save lives. You know, some could be incredibly depressed and then they watch something that they love and suddenly, oh, that was fantastic.
Yes. And the messages sometimes and the process of art is very, it's good for you. I mean, humans are the only ones that do this, by the way. In
Yeah,
case
yeah.
someone's
That's actually was the
pretending.
key. That was the key point to help us evolve was
Mhm.
our ability to use our imaginations and plan for the future. That
Yes.
was a key factor in our species evolution. So
What was
art,
it? The missing link. I remember in anthropology, they were talking
mm,
about the missing link, where we went from that to storytelling to have
hmm
that special thing in
hmm
our brains
yeah,
that does exactly what you just said, but it also inspired language and
yeah,
expression,
yep,
which is a form of art. And a lot of people don't
yeah,
think about it.
yeah. That and our ability to, form groups for
Hmm.
protection, but also in terms of filmmaking, you're getting people together to create something and also gathering more people together to watch something. And it's
Yeah.
so this is why I
It's
love the theater experience.
reciprocal.
Yeah, because when you're in a theater, the cinema, and you're sitting there, you're experiencing this thing together with these strangers that you've never met, and it's just there's something when it's a great experience, it's beautiful
Well,
and
you're going to have
wonderful.
so much fun at the festival.
Oh, I'm
You're
excited.
going to love it. I
I'm
mean,
excited to see the other feature screening
yes.
there as well.
And well,
Um,
and all the short films and meet all
and
the
all the shorts. Yeah.
filmmakers
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And we do have an announcement to make. You're going to do something a little special there, aren't you?
I
You're
am.
gonna so Justin Ho is gonna present a workshop about mobile filmmaking, how he made his film, and a lot of the things that we discussed here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
But
try my best to talk about mobile filmmaking.
a little more
It'll
than
be
what he
fun.
just said here. Yeah, and people, we will have watched your film before then. So, Justin, one last thing now. Just this is for the end.
Hmm.
Last words.
Oh gosh. All right.
What would you tell our listeners who are thinking, hey, I've always had this story in my mind. Should I make a movie with it? And why use a phone?
Well, yes. And use a phone because it's in your pocket. I mean, it's so accessible now. I mean, it's insane, these phones. And they're starting to add the whole thing to blur the background too. So if you wanted that look, you could do that. I didn't go for that with Broken Pieces
The
for
rack
various reasons.
focus thing.
Yeah, yeah, the shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
And that's only going to get better and better. But
That's
yes and
incredible.
yes. What else to say? I mean, it's a no-brainer. I
Yeah.
mean, I understand people. That's the issue is when people haven't done their thing yet and they want to do their first film. There's so much pressure behind it, and the issue is, your first film is probably not going to be great.
Hmm.
You need to do it. You need to just break out. Giving birth isn't easy. You're crying and you're gross and you're cold, but eventually you learn things and become a normal human, or quote unquote normal human being. Who's normal? So, you have to get through the birthing process. Just shoot that film out and get it done.
All right. So everybody go birth a film.
Birth a
Um,
film.
no, but you're right. That is one way to look at it too, is like, okay, don't let your expectations be so great. But at the same time,
Well, you're
put your
just gonna,
everything into it so that you
right.
get the most out of it when you're learning from it.
Well, yeah, so it's everything's a learning process. I'm learning. I learned a lot of stuff
Yeah.
shooting this film.
I
And
just learned a lot of stuff in 5 minutes tonight.
always learning. And it's just, it can get really intimidating, but you just got to do it. Just who cares if it's terrible? I love terrible things.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You got to watch it back again later, and it's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, thank you, Justin. I can't wait to meet you at the festival.
Likewise.
And I'm looking forward to celebrating you in person, along with everybody else in San Diego, and some fish tacos too.
Oh, ooh, fish tacos. Nice.
Fish tacos. All right. Well, say goodbye to our listeners.
All right. Good night, listeners, or good day, or whenever.
You know what I've been saying lately? Have
What?
a beautiful life. I just said that today to somebody.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
yeah.
why it came out like that. I meant to say, have a nice day.
Yeah.
It was very simple. It's a very habitual thing to say. And
Yeah.
out of my mouth came out, have a beautiful life. And
That's epic.
I don't know why it came out, but then I felt like that was so weird. So I walked over to the lady that I said it on my way past because she had stopped. And I said, oh, by the way, I don't know why I said that. And I started to explain myself. And she said, it was beautiful.
Oh,
And I
nice.
went, oh. And I went, maybe I should just say that now. Because the world is crazy right now.
Oh my gosh,
so
yeah.
why not say that? Because you never know anymore.
That'll be like a fun viral video if I just walk around New York City randomly telling strangers, have a beautiful life.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
And how do you feel about that?
Well,
All
thank
right.
you again. Goodbye, everybody. Good night. Good day. Have a beautiful life.
Yes,
and
in
a
case I don't
beautiful
see you,
day.
good afternoon, good evening, and good night.